Hey guys, Wesley from Marley Paranormal here. Not gonna bullshit you. I am actually gonna be reading some stuff here off my screen just so I can remember everything that I wanted to say about what I'm doing here. So I'm just reading the stuff that's behind the camera. So if you see my eyes going back and forth, that's what's going on there. And anyways, a couple weeks ago, perhaps a little bit longer, I did a session on lucid dreaming and astral projection. Now, I'd mentioned earlier, or like I said, I'm reading, so my eyes. But anyways, what it says there is I had mentioned either in the videos or in the comments that I was thinking of doing a series on astral projection and lucid dreaming. Gotta have my coffee. Now it's taken some time for me to get started on that, but here we are. I feel it's best to concentrate on either astral projection or lucid dreaming because they're really two different things. And since astral projection is what interests me the most right now, I've decided to start there. And I went through a few different books to find one that would fit my purposes the best. I wanted something that was easy to follow and to the point. And I think that one of the best books that I found was by a doctor by the name of Abhishek Agarwal called Astral Projection, Amazing Journeys Outside Your Body. I'm going to show some screenshots of the book while I'm reading as opposed to having myself on camera so that you guys can see the images and graphics that I'm seeing, and hopefully you guys don't mind me being off camera for the majority of these videos. Alright, now after each chapter I'm going to do a spirit box session with a few questions based on what I've read. And these videos, they might be a little bit long, but if this is something that interests you as much as it does me, you might find it worth the time put in. After all, if we truly want to learn, then we have to be willing to do a little bit of legwork and set aside some time to learn these new techniques. Alright guys, so let's get started.
Astral Projection, Amazing Journeys Outside Your Body, Complete Guide to Out-of-Body Experiences by Abhishek Agarwal. Author's note: if you're one of the average people, you will probably brush off the concept of astral projection as mere fantasy. But since you have purchased this book, I know you're not average. You believe somewhere deep down in your heart that this might be true. I'm glad you took this small decision to start this journey, a journey towards realization, a journey towards self-discovery. One of the most difficult things about astral projection is making others believe that this is true. But for those who have experienced this reality, they know how real it is. No one can make them believe otherwise. They know that they can exist outside their physical body. It is my sincere request to you not to read this book for entertainment purposes. I also ask you not to believe blindly whatever I've written in this book. But I want you to have an open mind. Start reading this book with a clean slate. Judge it by experiment. Devote some time to this wonderful topic. Practice. And with practice, you will have belief. With belief, you'll have experience. And with experience, you will have conviction. An unshaken conviction that you are much more than your physical self. So this is all I ask the reader to do. Experience it. It will be my endeavor to give you as much information as possible, theory and practical, and at the same time avoid too much technicality so that you can understand astral projection and experience it. I can promise the reading will be sheer delight. Hope you enjoy this blissful journey. Abhishek Agarwal, 10th July, 2007. Introduction. Imagine this scenario. You're lying in your bed, eyes shut, completely relaxed and totally awake. After a few minutes, you feel your body becoming heavy and numb. The next moment, you experience a floating sensation, and then you start rising up, floating a few feet above your bed. You look down and find that your physical body is sleeping peacefully on the bed. You take a short glance at the glowing, pulsating bluish-white cord connecting you to your physical body. You're calm, relaxed, and awake. This is not a new experience for you because you have consciously done this hundreds of times before. You feel a blissful sensation of peace because you're now unchained to your physical shell. You are experiencing a truly wonderful, a truly joyous feeling of exhilaration and freedom from your bounds. Look around the room for a few moments. Everything seems to sparkle. Everything seems to have life. The walls and the ceilings and all other objects have a different hue to them. You want to visit a close friend staying in another country. As you think about him, you rise higher and higher. You pass through your roof and into the darkness above. Roofs and walls and other seemingly solid objects are no longer a barrier now. You rise higher and can see your house getting smaller and smaller as unseen currents take you deeper up into space. You rise far higher than the astronauts have ever reached. The Earth is slowly turning below you. The vast oceans now look like placid village ponds. As you think about your friend, you suddenly fall backwards towards the Earth. You pass through the clouds with the speeds of thought. In this part of the world, it is still daylight and you can see the roads and the vehicles. Even though the place is new to you, you instinctively know where your friend lives. You see his house and fall down through the roof right in front of him. He's wearing a pair of blue jeans and white t-shirt. He's eating some cookies while watching his favorite sport. He cannot see you, of course. You watch him for some time and then realize that it's time to go back. Think about your body sleeping peacefully in your bedroom. The next instant, you're back in your room, hovering a few feet above your slumbering physical body. Look down at it and shudder at the thought of losing the freedom that you just now experienced. But it's time, and you have to return to your body. You find yourself sinking slowly into your physical shell. As the first streaks of the sun filters through the window, you open your eyes feeling refreshed and wide awake, with complete memory of your adventures. As soon as you get up, you call your friend and you tell him what you just saw in your dream. He gapes in amazement. That's exactly right. Welcome to the exciting world of astral projection, commonly known as out-of-body experience. Chapter 1. Basics of Astral Projection. What is astral projection? Astral projection is a phenomenon that has rapidly gained popularity over the last few decades. It is a process by which the human consciousness temporarily leaves the physical body and functions independently while the physical body remains still and passive throughout. This results in observing the world from a point of view other than that of the physical body and by means other than those of the physical senses. Sometimes, however, we have complete waking consciousness during the experience and remember the event in every detail upon returning to the physical body. Mostly this happens without any forethought, by complete surprise, and more often than you might think. There is a good chance that even if you yourself have never had a conscious out-of-body experience, someone you know has. It is a very common occurrence, but one which is not widely spoken of. This may sound crazy, but it isn't. In fact, we all experience astral projection every night when we sleep. Most of these projections are unconscious because we are not trained to remember them. Astral projection is often aptly termed as an out-of-body experience, OBE, or OBE, because it is an experience where your consciousness is out of your physical body. Moreover, it sounds less technical and easier to understand. Some authors might offer subtle differences between astral projection and OBE, but here, for the purposes of this book, we will use both these terms interchangeably. So, whenever I mention astral projection, out-of-body experience, or OBE, I am referring to the same phenomenon. Astral projection from a historical perspective. Astral projection is as natural as being human, and probably as old as our existence on this planet. References to OBE are evidenced throughout human history, across cultures, socio-economic strata, languages, genders, religions, nationalities, and civilizations. From the most ancient tribal societies to the modern civilized societies of the 21st century, human beings have recorded the departure and subsequent return of a subtle body from the physical body. All such recordings have a remarkably high degree of consistency in describing the many different aspects of the phenomenon, thus giving us an idea of the universal character of this capacity of leaving the body. Early evidence of the OBE appeared in ancient Egypt between 3,000 and 5,000 years ago. The Egyptian priests were aware of the existence of the astral body, and they called it the Ka. They left inscriptions and drawings on the rock walls of many temples and buildings depicting the human soul abandoning the physical body. The Tibetans believed in the Bardo body, which could leave the physical body while still alive, and could also pass through physical matter because it is made of psychic material. According to them, this Bardo body could be directed by will. Ancient Greeks believed in a double body, which housed the soul. References to the OBE later appeared in Greece through the writings of a number of philosophers including Plato, Herodotus, and Hermodamus of Clazomene. Cases of conscious projections are also well documented. During the Middle Ages, OBE was studied and practiced secretly. Information gathered was not made available to the general population. This need for secrecy contributed to the fabrication of various myths and untruths about the dangers of astral travel that persist even today. The phenomenon of out-of-body experience, therefore, is ancient and universal. We can see that different persons throughout history have experienced this, independent of culture, education, financial situation, religion, credo, sex, or age. From this historical perspective, and from studies and personal experience of thousands of people, the most solid conclusion that can be drawn is that human beings are more than just their physical bodies. When one experiences a conscious OBE, one has irrefutable evidence that the physical body is merely a temporary house through which one's consciousness or awareness manifests in the physical dimension. How common are OBEs? OBEs are very common. Reports confirm that at least 1 out of every 10 is likely to have had a conscious OBE, either spontaneous or controlled. Spontaneous OBEs can occur to anyone, anytime. While relaxing, while sleeping, during sickness, under medication, during accident, during meditation, etc. In this book, you will learn controlled OBE, how to experience this with full consciousness, and repeat the process whenever required. You will maintain awareness through all stages of the experience. In other words, during the period of your normal waking state, during relaxation, through the separation of the non-physical body, during the period spent outside the body, during the return of the extra-physical body to the physical body, and finally, the return to normal waking state. Near-death experience, NDEs. Near-death experiences are among the most powerful experiences that a person can have. When people survive a close brush with death, either because of an accident or maybe because of a heart failure, the experience is known as near-death experiences, NDEs. One most extraordinary aspect of NDEs is that the underlying pattern seems unaltered by a person's culture or belief system, religion, race, education, or any other known variable. A person who has had an NDE normally reports being out of the physical body, hearing buzzing or ringing sounds, moving through a dark tunnel, encountering deceased loved ones, seeing beautiful scenes and colors, hearing angelic music, feeling peaceful and at home, learning lessons, and an indescribable radiant light full of love and affection. After this brief experience, they are told that it's not yet time to stay on the other side, and they rapidly journey back into the constraints of the now resuscitated physical body. For most people, the experience is joyful, beyond words. The subject sometimes hears the doctor pronouncing him dead when he feels intensely alive and free from physical pain. They often recount events that occurred during the period of unconsciousness with complete accuracy. Tens of thousands of NDE cases are now on record by doctors and scientists. All these cases demonstrate a continuation of awareness beyond death. Raymond Moody, the pioneer in NDE research and the author of best-selling NDE book Life After Life, interviewed many people who had been resuscitated after having had accidents, and he then put together an idealized version of a typical near-death experience. He emphasized that no one person described the whole of this experience, but each feature was found in many of the stories. Here is his typical description of an NDE. Man is dying, and he reaches the point of greatest physical distress. He hears himself pronounced dead by his doctor. He begins to hear an uncomfortable noise, a loud ringing or buzzing, and at the same time feels himself moving very rapidly through a long dark tunnel. After this, he suddenly finds himself outside of his physical body, but still in the immediate physical environment, and he sees his own body from a distance as though he is a spectator. He watches the resuscitation attempt from his unusual vantage point and is in a state of emotional upheaval. After a while, he collects himself and becomes more accustomed to his odd condition. He notices that he still has a body, but one of a very different nature and with very different powers from the physical body he is left behind. After a while, he collects himself and becomes more accustomed to his odd condition. He notices that he still has a body, but one of a very different nature and with very different powers from the physical body he has left behind. Soon other things begin to happen. Others come to meet and help him. He glimpses the spirits of relatives and friends who have already died, and a loving, warm spirit of a kind he has never encountered before. A being of light appears before him. This being asks him a question, non-verbally, to make him evaluate his life, and helps him along by showing him a panoramic, instantaneous playback of the major events of his life. At some point, he finds himself approaching some sort of barrier or border, apparently representing the limit between earthly life and the next life. Yet he finds that he must go back to the earth, that the time for his death has not yet come. At this point, he resists, for by now he is taken up with his experience in the afterlife and does not want to return. He is overwhelmed by intense feelings of joy, love, and peace. Despite his attitude, though, he somehow reunites with his physical body and lives. Later he tries to tell others, but he has trouble in doing so. In the first place, he can find no human words adequate to describe these unearthly episodes. He also finds that others scoff, so he stops telling other people. Still, the experience affects his life profoundly, especially his views about death and his relationship to life. The parallels between these NDEs and astral projections are strikingly similar. The massive amount of research on near-death experiences constitutes the most scientific proof that consciousness survives bodily death. A Gallup survey estimates that more than 8 million Americans have had NDEs. Taken together with other evidence, NDEs help many realize that their real selves do not die. How long does it take to learn conscious astral projection? It is very natural to ask, how long does it take to learn conscious astral projection? Voluntary OBEs take time and practice, and since everybody has different levels of natural ability and skill, there is no fixed duration for everybody. It will take as long as it takes. Some people achieve it in just one day, some in a few weeks, and some in a few months, and some even in a few years. But if you persist and follow the techniques outlined in this book, in a few days, you will at least start having some of the commonly reported pre-projection symptoms. If you continue your practice diligently, you should experience this reality soon. 7 planes of existence. Before we went any further, it would help if we understood the concept of planes. The spirit realms consist of levels, or planes, distinguishable by the different densities and vibrations or frequencies of the substances they contain. Higher the frequency of vibrations, higher the plane. These planes are said to interpenetrate, existing in the same space. It is most commonly believed by metaphysicists and occultists that there are 7 planes of our existence. Let us just briefly see what these planes are. First plane, physical. This is the plane that we are all familiar with. It has all the physical matter ranging from gases and minerals to all the plant and animal bodies, therefore including the human body. Second plane, astral. This is also known as the emotional plane. Within this plane, all dreams, hopes, desires can become reality. There are a variety of mythological creatures that dwell within this realm. The aspects of time and space are greatly distorted on this plane. That means an hour that is passed in this realm could only be a few minutes on the physical plane. Third plane, mental. In this realm, all thoughts and ideas are manifested into actual objects. However, this does not only mean that you can travel through your own thoughts, but also that of someone else. Time is greatly distorted, even more so than in the astral plane. Fourth plane, Buddhic. This plane is full of love and peace. Due to this enhanced feeling of love and peace, any human who is able to reach this plane would most likely not wish to return. Fifth plane, spiritual. Individuality of a person is non-existent on this plane. This plane is highly spiritual and not much has been documented, as it is highly unlikely that most people would be able to reach it. Sixth plane, monadic. On this plane, everything is a part of everything. It is said that here great paradoxes are tied together. Seventh plane, Adi. This realm is beyond explanation. It is the highest realm possible to reach. It is the realm of everything and the aspect of complete oneness. So that was a very brief touch-up on the 7 planes. For each of these planes there is a corresponding body, physical body, astral body, mental body, etc. When we talk about astral projection, we are actually talking about projecting our astral body into the astral plane.
Alright, so that was some good background on OBEs and near-death experiences and the different planes. So the video was a bit longer than I expected, so what I'll do is I'll do a follow-up spirit box session in another video relating to what we've just gone over here today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, then hit the like button and leave a comment on what you thought about what we went through here today. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.